What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Building a Life of Change, our 60-day challenge. I am really excited about this chapter and the upcoming chapters, but this one specifically, I really, probably will be controversial. Some people won't agree with this, and that's okay. You can shut this video off and skip to the next one if that's how you feel. But this is just a personal thing for me that I wanted to touch on because I do feel it is important, and I'll tell you why. I've noticed change for myself when I made this specific topic a priority. Before I start that, I always tell you guys I'm gonna give you my updates because I'm doing this right along with you on that rating sheet. Okay, so the where am I sheet for yesterday's, right? So yesterday is where am I with myself physically? I need improvement. I probably could say I need change now. I'm just not happy with where I am physically. Where am I with myself emotionally? I would say so. I'm content for now, but I could use some change. And again, it's more of an issue of me learning to regulate the ups and downs of my anxiety and my depression. So it's not bad. Where am I with myself spiritually? Again, I would say so. And you can lump in spiritually and mentally if that's your preference. But spiritually, I could still use a lot of work in that area. A lot more stability and a lot more consistency. And then where am I with myself mentally? That's definitely needs improvement because I struggle just about every single day with things on my mind, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not anything of that nature. It's just I've got to find ways to build into my routines and my habits to help myself feel better mentally. And I've been doing that pretty consistently for about 3 weeks now, and it is helping. And we'll touch on all that later, and I'll explain how. But today, we are wrapping up this series with the where am I, and then tomorrow will be something different, or 2 days from now will be something different. But we are talking today about where am I with God. As I said, if this is not your cup of tea, please skip and move on to the next video. But for me on a personal level, my spiritual change impacts the rest of me. I'm just telling you. Spiritual change impacts me in every area of my life. So why does this matter? Why does it matter on where you are with God? Well, because I'll tell you what, role models are a huge part of change. I'll give you a prime example. I started following a YouTuber. Just hear me out first. Coming up on 2 or 3 years now, maybe. And I was in a really bad place mentally. I was dealing with postpartum depression from having our daughter. It was just a random video that popped up on my YouTube. You know, you'll get the recommended for you stuff. So that came up, one of her videos. And for the longest time, I just skipped right through it. And then eventually I was like, well, let me check this out. And it was Disney related. So you that know me know Disney is my go-to for just about anything. And I watched her video, loved it, and then started looking back at other ones. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, she released a workbook that is essentially part of why I started to make some changes. So a lot of what I have learned has been from that workbook. So she has essentially become a role model for me. Do I know her personally? I have met her a few times. For a little, she's my fitness coach. She has a business in that aspect. What I would consider her is a role model because how she aspires and affects change in her life and how she has built her businesses and how she has come up with these amazing things, this creative stuff, is essentially become a role model for me, and it's in a positive way. So if you are striving to change, role models are critical because, as we've talked about, who is around you affects you and establishes if you're gonna have great change or moderate change or no change. For me, if you are striving for change, who is a better role model than Jesus? Who better? There are plenty of times as we read in the Bible that Jesus had opportunities to have great effect on people, and he did just that. He changed people when he was faced with adversity, right? When people were constantly challenging him and pushing back on him, would have been easier for him to be angry. It would have been easier for him to retaliate, but he didn't. There is, in my opinion, no greater role model than Jesus. Did I ever meet him? Obviously not. But I didn't meet Abraham Lincoln either, and I think he is, as far as history goes, is a great person. I never met Martin Luther King, but I think he is a fantastic role model for people. I have not met a lot of people who are great role models, and that doesn't change the fact that they are great. And that doesn't change the fact that I have studied and learned about them and that I shouldn't model their behavior. So why does it matter to evaluate where you are with God? Well, if we want to change, then we need to know where we are with the model we want to follow, right? If you're going to say that Jesus is your role model, you got to have him be able to measure that, right? You need to know what you're following and how that all works. You got to be honest. If you are a person of faith, you need to evaluate where you are with God, because I can tell you from living proof and experience that without him, I probably would not be here. And I have to always take a good hard look at where I am with him every time I evaluate myself. Every time I evaluate where am I. Every time I'm trying to figure out who I am, I have to evaluate where I am with him. Where am I spiritually? Because the areas that I've wanted to change is only going to happen with guidance from him and myself. It takes me and it takes God. And this is just, again, my opinion, but I believe it because I have seen tremendous improvement in myself because I have changed and evaluated and continue to evaluate where I stand in my spiritual walk. You should do the same. You really should. I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from, and I hope you can respect that. And I hope you also evaluate where you are. Where are you spiritually? Where are you with God? Keep going away with that chart, and I look forward to seeing you in a few days.
Catch me if I fall.